Holy shit right now. Bungie replaces Marathon director amid leadership shakeup, fears of layoffs. From Valorant game director, Joe Ziegler is replacing Christopher Barrett. Amid ongoing anxiety within Bungie following layoffs last year, the studio is now preparing for another shakeup, this time on Marathon, its upcoming service game intended as its next step beyond Destiny. According to multiple sources familiar with the matter, Bungie is in the midst of shifting around its creative leadership on Marathon, including removing longtime Bungie designer Christopher Barrett from the game's director role. IGN learned he is being replaced by former Valorant game director Joe Ziegler, who left Riot Games for Bungie in 2022. IGN has reached out to Bungie for comment on whether or not Barrett will remain with the company. Bungie has not yet responded to IGN's request for comments, but shortly after we reached out, Ziegler confirmed his appointment as game director on X and Twitter. For the last 9 months, I've been working on Marathon as the game director, he wrote. So for the last 9 months, we're still baking, but I'm excited to share with you all more information on the game as we get closer and closer to bringing it all to all of you. Bringing it to all of you. Dude, this is crazy news, guys. This is crazy news. Hey everyone, fun update. For the last 9 months, I've been working on Marathon as the game director. We're still baking, but I'm excited to share with you more information on the game as we get closer and closer to bringing it to all of you. While this is going on, sources tell IGN that Bungie is pouring resources to Marathon out the door. The game's direction has shifted somewhat under Ziegler's new leadership, one source says, including moving away from custom player characters in favor of a selectable cast of heroes. A hero shooter? Marathon over Matter. While upcoming Destiny 2 expansion, The Final Shape, is also being prioritized, there are growing fears and rumors that layoffs will immediately follow its release. One person with knowledge of budgets at Bungie told me that nothing adds up and something will need to happen to curb costs unless The Final Shape does so well to cover the gap and people can move to Marathon. When Sony acquired Bungie, the studio brought with it a number of other incubation projects, including a mobile-like game codenamed Gummy Bears and a new IP known as Matter. According to sources, Matter was canceled back in 2020, but the team continued working on similar projects with slightly different direction until that too was canceled in late 2022. Gummy Bears, meanwhile, is currently in a holding pattern due to the ongoing company struggles. Within the company, there is a growing expectation that senior company leadership will leave in droves in the summer of 2026 when the final payouts from Sony acquisition of the company take effect. With this in mind, there's a strong push to get Marathon out the door before then, and let whoever takes the reins after that, be it Sony or Bungie, worry about how it's sustained. A marathon and a sprint. Bungie has found itself rocked by a number of major shakeups in recent years that have tanked morale at the Destiny studio and left its future uncertain. Sony officially acquired the studio in mid-2022 with the promise it would largely retain a semblance of freedom as an independent subsidiary. While sources say that that's largely remained true, Bungie has struggled to meet key financial targets. Destiny 2 significantly underperformed last year. In October, Bungie laid off roughly 100 of its 1,200 employees amid greater cost-cutting measures that saw Marathon delayed to 2025 and employee benefits slashed, further damaging the mood internally. Notably, multiple sources at the time and since have shared that Sony has largely left the studio to sort out its own troubles and was not responsible for the layoffs, with CEO Pete Parsons taking responsibility. However, sources at the time also told IGN that when leaders were asked if they had considered taking pay cuts prior to making layoffs decisions, one responded that Bungie was not that type of company. Internally, the sentiment is only growing that The Final Shape needs to succeed for Bungie to avoid further internal turmoil. Neither Bungie or Sony responded to IGN's request. Guys, this is huge. If you're wondering who Christopher Barrett is, he has been the face of Marathon. Literally the face of Marathon. Christopher Barrett and his team were was one of the teams that contributed to the Forsaken expansion and Rise of Iron. Now, I thought it was strange that, not that I don't think Christopher Barrett couldn't do it, but I did think it was strange that team that was such a PvE-oriented team was going to be making an extraction shooter. So I felt that that was really strange. Now, the fact that they're mentioning that it's going to be a hero shooter, it just tells me that overall, the identity of Marathon is really struggling. We don't care, play the Grandmaster. Guys, this is how is nobody seeing that this is a huge deal? This is a huge... How does no one else see that this is a huge fucking deal? This is wild news. The leading game director, the one who we thought was going to give us the best Marathon experience ever, the next biggest IP. Bungie doesn't exactly give us new IPs. Is no longer the game director. That's crazy to me. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know the identity of Marathon at this point. Again, we had that conversation last year where I heard that Tarkov streamers were not necessarily thrilled about their experience with Marathon when they got to play it. I got multiple sources that told me that. I don't know if Christopher Barrett is going to be moving to Destiny. I would love it if he came back to Destiny. His track record with Forsaken and Rise of Iron was really good, and I felt like his team was actually better working on Destiny stuff rather than working on another game completely out of Bungie's scope. It's not like Bungie's like, yeah, we have a huge history of making extraction shooters. That's Marathon is just right up our alley. Now, here's what we need to be asking, because this kind of ties into that email that I got. And the email alluded to the possibility of Marathon not even making it to launch. But Ziegler's here now. The fact that he's been working as game director for 9 months, that's very telling. So maybe we will still see Marathon. But yeah, it's very concerning either way. It's very concerning either way. You know, the fact that Bungie employees are concerned about getting laid off right after the Final Shape launch, it's like, what kind of motivation is there to even be trying to get that expansion out the door and to even get it right? The fact that a number of people have already left Bungie, not even the people that got laid off, I'm talking about people that voluntarily left. We have a new game director for Destiny 2 now, that being Tyson Green, and I'm excited to see what Tyson Green does. But you know, Joe left. Joe is on his way out. This is it. This is not good. F Marathon, who cares? Destiny is all that matters. Again, that ties back into, if we were to believe that email I got, which everybody seems to be talking shit about because they're like, somebody wrote this on the toilet. If we were to believe that, supposedly Sony cares more about Destiny than anything else. I'm not saying that a Sony ran Bungie would be the best thing ever, because I do have some concerns. I'm concerned that they would make certain things exclusive, then they would bring back exclusive items. But when I hear that Destiny would be the primary focus, that's all we want. We want a primary, we want primary focus to be on Destiny because we love Destiny. Marathon hasn't given Sony or Bungie a single dime. Well, not only has it not given Bungie or Sony a single dime, it hasn't launched. It was supposed to launch literally this year. Sony wouldn't make Destiny an exclusive game. They would just make certain items exclusive, like Wave Splitter, for instance. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it does kind of suck because, you know, like exclusive strikes. Remember when we used to have that in Destiny? Exclusive strike. Like, there would be like one exclusive strike that was Sony. A Wave Splitter was an exclusive exotic, which is not something I want to see return. But guys, I cannot understate how big of a deal this is. This is such a huge deal. Christopher Barrett has been held as, you know, as the savior of Destiny at times. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that faith has been misplaced. I don't know. Is he a genius creatively? Maybe. Maybe an extraction shooter was just outside of what he is used to make. You know, maybe he felt like this was a great time to tackle that challenge. But this is a big deal. And I'm really concerned for Bungie. I'm concerned for, you know, any future titles. And I'm concerned for Destiny too. And the devs, man. This is all very, very concerning. I don't know if Christopher Barrett is still at Bungie. I would love it if now he shifts focus to working on Destiny stuff. You know, what if behind the scenes, that Forsaken team is working on D3? I know, I'm coping right now probably, but what if?
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.